Welcome to welcome to all the delegates in the valedictory session. Before we start valedictory session formally, we have one theme-wise discussion by the coordinators for the four themes. So I invite all the coordinators, Professor Satish Verma, Professor D.K. Novial, Professor Vinayak Desh Pandey, and Professor K.K. Bagchi. They can come on the stage. Theme-wise discussion that is mainly concerned with this thing. Okay, whatsoever questions they raised in their theme, whether in this conference the answers were found or not, because all the themes were very much important and they will take around 20 minutes. 5 minutes about. Yes, 20 minutes and they have to finish this. So, they please. So, sequence wise, first theme that is Professor D.K. Novial. Please come on the stage and discuss about the theme. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Madan, for giving this opportunity to me to speak on the theme, in which I was one of the concept briefing person. We had in this session this theme, India's aspiration to be a developed nation, innovation, technology, infrastructure, and entrepreneurship. This session had, lots of people from the galaxy. For example, we had Dr. Bala Subramaniam, we had Alok Kumar Chakrawal, Professor Alok Kumar Chakrawal, we have Professor Ram Singh, we have Professor Charan Singh, we have Professor Sachin Chaturvedi, Dr. Sachin Chaturvedi, and all of them have contributed in their own ways. My comment will come in the last, but I would first of all narrate what they have actually delivered. Dr. Sachin Chaturvedi had emphasized on the set of variables that are important for innovation in technology, infrastructure, and entrepreneurship. He talked about the institutions and political stability, the first variable that he talked about, the demography, favorable geopolitics, social enterprises, policy frameworks, cultural economics, which actually talked about the localization of the development. And then he emphasized that Indian Economic Association like platform should help India to evolve its own plausible growth model rather than aping the model from the West. That was his core idea, that we need to have our own set of variables, our own set of models, rather than copying the models from the West or concepts from the West. Dr. Bala Subramaniam talked about new phase in the evolution of the state that we learned from COVID-19 crisis. So lots of things went online, and to him it was a great opportunity. I personally feel that COVID-19 has also helped us to evolve ourselves. Probably we never thought of online platforms so extensively earlier the way we think about it now. In lots of universities, institutions, and lots of inputs are taken online where it is not possible for the people to come and share platforms physically. He also emphasized the need for development of new technologies that could also facilitate the better governance. He further discussed how bureaucracy can be prepared to understand and get trained before signing up for the new ministry. So the training part of it, which I think is not training but orientation part of it, when a bureaucrat is moved away from one particular ministry to another ministry, they are required to be reoriented for the needs or to the requirements of the new ministry. And this is what he emphasized on. I think it was also a very, very innovative idea. Dr. Alok Kumar Chakrawal, who is Vice Chancellor of Guru Ghazidas University in MP, talked about Make in India, and he stressed the need that India is doing a lot, and therefore all efforts of India needs to be lauded up, and we need to feel pride of what we are doing right now. That's what he emphasized on. Professor Ram Singh talked about or spoke about food and nutritional security trilemma, where he talked about the supply and demand sides, and also emphasized that this MSP has delivered rich dividends to farmers, and also it has helped them to improve the terms of trade, which had been deteriorating in a secular manner for a long time, perpetuating way, in a perpetuating way. Uh, Professor Charan Singh talked about the role of banks, and he applauded the roles of public sector banks in bringing up new growth dimensions to or paradigms to India. I personally spoke about innovation, technology, infrastructure, and entrepreneurship. On innovation front, I said we aren't doing enough, and in terms of gross uh, you know GII, what we call as, India retains 40th rank out of 132 economies in the global innovation index of 2023. This is what we talked about. Then we said that in terms of the I said that in terms of research and development, we are still lagging behind rest of the world, especially knowing that US, Europe, and China put together, they share around 75% of the world R&D, and they are spending, China is spending roughly around 3%, South Korea roughly around 4.5%, Israel around 4.9% of the GDP, United States roughly around 3%. So everyone is now pitching in for more research and development expenditure. We had been at 0.6%, 0.65%. We are still at that. So R&D is something that is not helping us to move away from resource driven economy to the efficiency and innovation driven economy setup. So I had emphasized on this, that we need to pitch in for more research and development expenditure with a body which could finance the meaningful research. We aren't doing enough in the basic research. We are not doing enough in the applied research, not doing enough in the experimental developmental experiment research. We are spending a lot of money on the capital expenditure as part of the R&D expenditure, which is creating an infrastructure but is not delivering much meaningful things. So my suggestion was that we need to go for more research and development efforts, because that would help us to go for more innovations. That would make our economy far more competitive. I am pretty sure there was a diverse kind of input here, but still, all the speakers have enriched us a lot. Everybody spoke in his own right, in his own paradigm, but all of them have contributed very richly to the discourse, and I am pretty sure the audience must have been enlightened a lot. With that, I call it quits. I now leave the platform to others. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Professor Payal Mago, Director Campus of Open Learning University of Delhi, Professor V.K. Malhotra, Professor D.K. Madan, dignitaries present here, and the delegates of 106th Annual Conference of Indian Economic Association. We had a very distinguished panel yesterday with us to discuss the subject which is close to us, that is financial inclusion. To be more specific, digital financial inclusion. Let me begin by thanking all of the panelists for their thought-provoking views on the topic relating to financial sector, technology performance, and inclusivity. Technology, that is the fundamental aspect of financial sector, and Professor Charan Singh, former RBI Chair Professor of Economics, IIM Bangalore, he chaired the session and set the tone of the theme financial sector, technology, performance, and industry. He pointed out that Aadhaar card is the benchmark for financial inclusion, and the broad conclusion that I can draw from our panelists and the discussion is that technology is one thing, but really we have to look at whole lot of other issues which need to be considered. In terms of changes in banking, one is from customers' perspective, the changes we are noticing in customers' behavior, how they interact with financial institutions, and the another changes which are taking place is from regulatory point of view. So regulators, they are technically becoming savvy and they are deeply inspecting the operations of the banks, which is good thing for the robustness of industry as a whole. So in the beginning, when Professor Charan Singh addressed the gathering, he said in India for a very long time, we had thought that we are nationalizing the banks and we nationalize State Bank of India, and main purpose and objective of nationalizing these banks for having banking penetration in rural areas of the country, and the basic purpose of these activities was obviously inclusivity. Then he also pointed out about Janadhan Yojana, microfinance institutions, self-help group, what role Mudra loan is playing, and how direct benefit transfer is helping to have inclusivity. And for that inclusivity, the kind of infrastructure which is developed over a period of time is quite appreciable. That is what our chairman pointed out. Aadhaar card and JAM Trinity also he emphasized, and Mudra loans, where small loans are given to people, artisans, potteries, that is the lower end of the society, and that is the step in the right direction to have the inclusivity that has brought some kind of self-esteem, confidence among these people also. Sri Amarjit Singh, member, Securities and Exchange Board of India, Mumbai, he joined virtually and he talked about how SEBI launched Sarthi mobile app, and Sarthi is for investors education, and what role this Sarthi is playing to create awareness amongst the investors. The app will look to create awareness among the investors about the basic concepts of securities market, know your consumer process, investor grievances, redressal mechanism, etc. And Sri Amarjit Singh gave us an idea about how SEBI is using technology in shaping market. So his main focus was on research, and he emphasized the need for conducting research across regulators, and it should not be conducted in silos. That is the point he made. He also talked about the surveillance system developed by SEBI. These were the major issues discussed by our panelist Amarjit Singh ji. Managing Director NABARD, Sri Gigi Memon, also joined virtually and shared his thoughts on role of NABARD in financial inclusion. He took the review of Lead Bank Scheme 1969, functioning of the bank for the development of the district, and he also gave us an idea about credit insurance scheme. He also shared his thoughts on microfinance institutions, their contribution in bringing the concept of financial inclusivity in real sense. So he took that historical review that how commercial banks they expanded their activities in the rural areas. Professor Surendra Kumar from Delhi School of Economics, University of Delhi, presented his views on how financial inclusion would be useful in enhancing tax revenue. With the help of financial inclusion indicators like deposit to GDP, credit to GDP, he showed us the causal relationship of financial inclusion and tax revenue. Fluctuations which occur in time series data because of major events and drastic changes that take place, and therefore data also shows different kinds of trends, and therefore he made the analysis by using panel structural breaks method. So Professor Surendra Kumar showed us how we are benefited in terms of tax revenue because of financial inclusion. So as a part of this plenary session, Professor P.R. Brahmanand Memorial Lecture was organized. We paid humble tribute to our well-known economist, professor of Mumbai University, who motivated young scholars to undertake research in the area of monetary policy. For this memorial lecture, Indian Economic Association this year invited Sri M. Rajeshwar Rao, Deputy General, Deputy Governor of Reserve Bank of India, to present his views, and it was a wonderful opportunity for all of us to know the perception of academicians and also policymakers. So, both regarding financial inclusivity, technology, and performance of the financial sector and their views, we could listen with the help of this particular session. Sri M. Rajeshwar Rao began his presentation by indicating three important phases in the financial sector of Indian economy: post nationalization phase, liberalization period, and democratization of inclusion. He also narrated the role played by RBI and showed us how RBI has succeeded in creating world class financial infrastructure, and Deputy Governor flagged few concerns in the context of technological developments in financial sector, especially relating to data privacy and how it is essential to develop privacy culture and the need of respecting privacy. That was the point he emphasized in his presentation. He gave emphasis on accountability and robustness, monitoring mechanism, and updating the way artificial intelligence can be used in terms of traditional artificial intelligence and modern artificial intelligence model for bringing transparency and to make financial activity as a pious activity. That is the point he made. The need for paying attention to geopolitical factors was also emphasized by our Deputy Governor, Sri M. Rajeshwar Rao. Session was very fruitful and showed the way for conducting research in the most vibrant and dominating sector, that is financial sector of the economy. I am sure our young researchers they would undertake their studies considering the number of issues raised by our panelists in the yesterday's session. Thank you, Indian Economic Association, President, Secretary, for giving me this opportunity to present the views of the panelists made by them in the yesterday's session. Thank you so much.
So, very good afternoon, everyone. uh, Professor Payal Mago, Director, School of Open Learning, Delhi University. Our Association President, Professor B.K. Malhotra, uh, Association Secretary, Professor D.K. Madan, uh, these my co-lead coordinators in the on the dais, and members of IEA of the dais, and other uh, learned persons present in the hall. So now I am presenting the summary of the discussions that took place yesterday and this morning on the third sub-theme of this conference, that is multidimensional poverty in India, food, nutrition and health, educational attainments and living standards. Now, like other uh, sub-themes, in the case of this sub-theme also, uh, discussions took place uh, in two forms. First of all, panel discussion, and secondly, in the technical session, scholars presented their paper. Both the forms of sessions are very lively and very educative, and as you have already heard the panelists, uh, Professor Mistro was there. He presented a very comprehensive view and idea about this multidimensional poverty measurement and index globally as well as in India. And he suggested revisions in some cases to adopt some new indicators and drop some indicators. And one of his idea that was striking, that appeared to be striking to me, is that he observed that uplift and drop, that is, the governments, both the central government and the state governments, are having different types of programs, social sector programs, to improve the living standard of people. And in the process, many people are coming out of poverty. So according to his opinion, people or families who come out of poverty, they must be, there must be stop in further providing assistance to them, so that they can sustain themselves. So that appeared to me a very good idea, striking idea, because there's providing of freebies, uh, providing of doles, how long it can continue, and how far it is sustainable, I don't know. So anyway, his that opinion appeared to be very much striking. And Professor Kundu, he uh, raised some these methodological issues, and how uh, this multi-dimensional poverty index is constructed, especially in India. So, how to develop a multi-dimensional poverty index for India in commensurate with the global this multi-dimensional poverty index. He discussed that, um, and we are illuminated by his discussion. And from his discussion, it appeared that, and we can also find that there is always a scope for revision in the construction of multi-dimensional poverty index, and it will depend upon time, space, cultural context of a country. So it will vary from country to country, though there may be some problem of comparison of multi-dimensional poverty index when there is inter-country comparison, and that is also necessary, because countries are ranked according to their multi-dimensional poverty. So if the indicators are different, how to compare it, that is a problem, that may be a problem. But I think there is no also alternative to it. So some variation can be there in the measurement of this multi-dimensional poverty for any country. For any country, though though in the case of Indian multi-dimensional poverty index, not much deviation has been there only 2 additional indicators have been taken. In the global MPI, there are 10 indicators. In case of India, there are 12 indicators. So not much variation is there. So I think it may be comparable to the other countries of the world. And in the paper presentations, so many scholars, enthusiastic scholars, they presented their papers. Most of them have put in very hard work in preparing their paper in a short notice. But they are very sincere, and there are interstate comparisons. There are comparison within state, and so from their discussion, we also could learn something about the condition of the states in regard to multi-dimensional poverty index. So that was a learning experience. And this morning there was a excellent paper on literature review on multi-dimensional poverty index, and that was actually very much helpful for our scholars, for me also, as to what are the research gaps, where this research can be done on this particular topic. So that is a very good paper, review of literature paper. And so, and from these papers, certain suggestions came, though I expected more suggestions from the paper writers about how to improve the multidimensional poverty situation in India, but not much suggestions actually I found. So 2-3 suggestions that came out from the presentations, I am presenting to you. So one suggestion was about the creation of awareness among people about various these government schemes and programs for the benefit of the poor. So it appeared that there is a lot of information gap regarding the programs that are prevailing in different states. So creating awareness is an important problem for this improving situation, for reducing or eradicating multidimensional poverty in India. Secondly, one important suggestion I found from the paper of Professor S.P. Singh. So he suggested that Panchayati Raj institutions must be strengthened. And in this context, he suggested that panchayats, to strengthen panchayats, 3 things are absolutely necessary. These are in the form of 3 Fs. These are finance, functions, and functionaries. So this suggestion appeared to be very crucial to me, because as we know, rural poverty, the incidence of rural poverty is higher than urban poverty. Though the last report of this 2023 report of Niti Aayog on this multi-dimensional poverty index, it shows that rural poverty has reduced drastically compared to urban poverty. But still, the incidence of poverty is much higher in rural areas compared to urban areas. So these Panchayati Raj institutions must be strengthened. So that is a very good point, valid point. And personally, as I was also telling yesterday while the panel was going on, so I suggested good governance, and it appeared to me, and it appears to me from my experience, that good governance is a very, very essential ingredient for improving the poverty situation. So the government should be corruption free. The government should be sensitive to the needs and aspirations of the people. And if that is there, that can be ensured, then that will definitely help to reduce multidimensional poverty and ultimately eradicate multidimensional poverty. And yesterday, there was a talk from Professor Krishnamurthy Balasubramaniam from USA. Huh? Okay. So that was a good lecture. I have been benefited from that. But I had a question to him. I could not put it to him. The question was that India will definitely achieve the target of 5 trillion economy. But what will happen uh, to inclusive growth? Whether India will be able to ensure a situation where no one will be left behind. So that was my question that I could not make to him. But let us ponder over this question uh, in near future, and let us take participation in eradicating multi dimensional poverty from India. So, thanks everyone for a patient hearing.
Well, without wasting any time, straightway I put before you the 5 takeaways from the plenary sessions that I could recollect. The first is large and diverse data are available in the country, which, within quotes, I won't refer to any of the speakers, which has gone into the heart of all policymakers. This is a quote by one of the speakers. Large data of about 2.5 million people being kept and utilized on daily basis in OPD section of AIMS New Delhi is one example of it. But the data has to be more objective. That has also been emphasized. This is the first takeaway. The second takeaway is social gains of data are extremely high. Social gains. This point needs to be underlined. Social gains of data are extremely high, but the private gains are low. Private gains are low. Therefore, data collection, data aggregation, data quality, adequacy, reliability, robustness, etc., are the responsibility of the government. They are the responsibility of the government. Because this point did come up when we talked about the spending of research in the country. But that is beside the point. It is regarding the data collection. However, there are issues, particularly at the micro level, when we talk about the data. I did talk this micro level data in the context of a term used by Pallavi Chavan from Reserve Bank of India when she used the term organizational neutrality as regards the private sector banks and the public sector banks. I mentioned to her that this is not so. But she could evade the question by saying that in other countries, if it is not, even this is not happening, we are doing it. I said then micro level data must be made available. Moreover, there is an urgent need for better designed data infrastructure for monitoring and evaluation to improve the efficiency and transparency, for example, of social assistance in the country, as has been demonstrated by the emergency like the COVID 2019. This is critical for state capacity and social protection for survival of the bottom of the eco-social pyramid of the country. My third takeaway is, for the reasons mentioned above already explained, private spending on research in the country has been low because private gains have been low. However, while quoting the practice in China, somebody quoted it, while quoting the practice in China, it was emphasized that the private sector should come forward and raise spending on research in the country. This is desirable because the correlation between research spending and development across the world is quite high. It's a known fact and it has been empirically tested by the Niti Aayog 0.8882. Therefore, returning back to the nation is, of course, the moral and ethical responsibility of the private sector. Further, public private partnership in this context was also underlined. My fourth takeaway is transforming data into useful information and policy recommendation is the real problem. The real problem we are facing is transforming data into useful information and policy recommendation. For this purpose, capacity building is most important. The initiative by the RIS New Delhi of conducting capacity building programs in the field of international trade is significant and should be replicated in other institutions of national importance like IASC, IITs, and IIMs. However, capacity is critical for development, as quoted by Dr. Subramaniam in yesterday's lecture when he said that human capital is really critical. So, developing into this is very important if we want to encourage research in our country. And my last takeaway is for capacity building and converting into knowledge, our education system must transform from dialogue driven to experiential based learning. The Gurukul kind of the system, Professor Bharatbhushan ji he mentioned it. The Gurukul kind of the system, rather than the teachers' monopolized classroom system. Developing soft skills of the students oriented towards well-being of the nation should be our top priority. In this context, a world-class level institution in humanities and social sciences, which was the major point in his presentation. In this context, a world-class level institution in humanities and social sciences is the need of the hour. Capacity building in artificial intelligence is becoming increasingly important as blended pedagogy is going to be the order of the day involving cohorts, students, teachers, society, and so on. Such policy initiatives will greatly improve the quality of research in the country, which is quite poor. Whatever the index we take, whether we take the H index or we take the documented research, in the research documented in our country. Also, more than something, just saying that something more is needed, that approach will not do. We need a big push in the field of education. Highlights on the research conducted under the ICSSR as well as tried, they were also emphasized. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable discussion and feedback. Anta Asti Prarambh. The end is the new beginning. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and dignitaries. I, Dr. Nupur, I, Ms. Juhi Jha, welcome you all to the valedictory ceremony of 106th Annual Conference of Indian Economic Association, organized in collaboration with School of Open Learning, University of Delhi. Over the past 3 days, we've witnessed a dynamic exchange of ideas, insights, and research in the field of economics. Throughout this conference, we have had the privilege of engaging in thought-provoking plenary sessions delving into key economic issues that shape our world. From analyzing global economic trends to discussing innovative solutions, our esteemed speakers have left an indelible mark on an intellectual gathering. Once again, I welcome all dignitaries present here. I would like to invite Professor Payal Mago, Director, Campus of Open Learning, Professor V.K. Malhotra, sir, President, Indian Economic Association, Professor D.K. Madan, Secretary, Indian Economic Association, Professor Ajay Jaiswal, Principal, School of Open Learning, Professor Prajesh Roy, Joint Director, Campus of Open Learning, and Professor Kunthia to come on the stage and grace today's occasion. Thank you, everyone. Indian Economic Association has always played a pivotal role in dissemination of knowledge and brings vast opportunities to the scholars by bringing an array of experts from various fields.
In this 106th Indian Economic Association conference, the focus was laid on four themes, including Bharat's aspiration to be developing nation, financial sector, technology and inclusivity, multidimensional poverty in India, research, data and artificial intelligence.
As we stand on the cusp of concluding this remarkable event, let us now reflect on the wealth of knowledge exchanged, friendships forged, and ideas ignited during these 3 days.
Now, I would like to invite on stage Professor Anirban Sarkar, Joint Secretary, Indian Economic Association, to please come forward and present the 106th Annual Conference Report.
So, thank you all for allowing me to present the report of 106th IEA Annual Conference. My regards to the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, as well as all the delegates who have come from 26 states of India. So, I would like to express my gratitude to our conference Association President Professor V.K. Malhotra and Secretary Professor D.K. Madan for showing trust on me to present the report of this conference. The 106th Annual Conference of IEA, organized by the School of Open Learning, University of Delhi, took place on 21st, 22nd and today at Vallabhbhai Patel Chess Institute. I would express my heartfelt gratitude to the organizing secretaries and the director of the School of Open Learning for allowing us wholeheartedly to organize the conference in the stature and the manner that you are seeing today. We started on 21st with lighting of the lamp and the prayer, and the inaugural session uh, was illuminated by Professor Payal Mago, the director of the campus of Open Learning, Professor D.K. Madan, Secretary of IEA, Professor V.K. Malhotra, Association President, and there were guest of honor, Professor Sri S.K. Arya, Chairman of JBM Group. Inaugural address was given by Mr. Suman Berry, the Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog. The IEA conference presidential address was given by Professor Ramesh Chand, member Niti Aayog, and the vote of thanks was given by Professor Ajay Jaiswal, the organizing secretary of the School of Open Learning. And in the welcome address that was delivered by Professor Payal Mago, she offered heartiest welcome to the delegates, and she touched upon the ways and means of India becoming the developed nation in 2047. She covered various issues in connection with the stride of growth and development in this Amrit Kal. Professor D.K. Madan, Secretary of IEA, spoke about IEA, welcomed the delegates, and gave a brief introduction in history of IEA, and mentioned that 300 delegates from around 26 states of India are going to participate in this 106th annual conference. Professor V.K. Malhotra, our association president, threw light about the conference by clearly explaining the rationale and contours of the themes of the conference that you all know now, that is Aspirational India at 2047, Financial Sector, Technology, Performance and Inclusivity,
artificial intelligence, data analysis and research for development, and multidimensional poverty. Professor Malhotra indicated that it is a star-studded conference and we are all learners and we become stars when we do learn. So we should strive for much higher things in future days to come. Address of guest of honor was delivered by Sri S.K. Arya, chairman of JBM Group. He highlighted the need for inclusive and human-centric approach for India to become the third largest economy. He talked about India's transformational journey from aspirational to inspirational. He threw light on India's initiatives on reduction of carbon emission and to use of non-fossil fuel sources for generating electricity, thereby protecting the planet, and opined that this momentum should continue. Inaugural address was given by Mr. Suman Berry, the Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, and he gave insights on growth dimensions of Vikshit Bharat at 2047. He appealed state universities should act as research centers and not only should focus on teaching. He opined that the youth of the country should play a pivotal role in this Amrit Kal as freedom fighters played their role during independence. He mentioned that more researches should be carried on policy issues and matters, and it is the duty of the academic community to come up with a policy framework model. IEA conference presidential address was delivered by Professor Ramesh Chand, member Niti Aayog, on undernutrition and hunger. He mentioned about the mismatch in data furnished by Periodic Labor Force Survey and Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, as well as FAO and ICMR. He talked about the importance of the unit level data in this context. He remarked that as income increases, undernutrition declines but did not vanish. He touched upon the trends in food norms and concluded that NFSA data reveals hunger by choice and not hunger by compulsion. The vote of thanks of the inaugural session was given by Professor Ajay Jaiswal, Organizing Secretary, School of Open Learning, and expressed sincere regards to all the contributors and praised the sponsors for their support. Now, I would like to thank my four seniors who acted as lead coordinators, Professor D.K. Noriyal, Professor Vinayak Deshpande, Professor K.K. Bakshi, and Professor Satish Verma for relieving my pain, because they have already expressed the summary of the 4 plenary sessions that have been conducted, and the dignitaries who have presented their views have been very well summarized by them already. So I'm not taking time to actually address all those issues again. I will come to directly to the just the 4 plenary sessions where people have took part. I would like to thank Professor Charan Singh, uh, Professor D.K. Noriyal, uh, Professor Satish Verma, and the other Professor Alok Chakrawal, Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, Professor Ram Singh, uh, Professor Shamika Ravi, Professor Bhushan Patwardhan, Professor Abhishek Shamantarai, Dr. R. Gopinath, Professor Yogesh Suri, Professor R.K. Mishra, Professor Amitabh Kundu, uh, uh, Shri Amarjit Singh, Gigi Memanji, Professor Surinder Kumar, Professor S.K. Mohanty, Professor Pritam Banerjee, uh, for all their distinguished views on the 4 panels which were presented in the plenary session. I will sum up by uh, mentioning about a special lecture which was given by Professor Subramania, and he mentioned that uh, the COVID-19 pandemic, the policies in India were very fruitful as compared to our foreign counterparts, and demand side, supply side, uh, push and pull was necessary for uh, making this policy much more holistic. And he also mentioned that how India can become a third largest economy around 2047. And he mentioned certain issues which were very crucial for our understanding. He highlighted about the lower nominal depreciation rates, which have actually helped India to reach in a position that India is now. And he also mentioned that the opportunity that India is facing now is a once in a generation, not only once in a generation, but once in several centuries. So he also mentioned some challenges like climate change, building resilience, taking care of the vulnerables. And then we started yesterday with four technical sessions. Uh, Four technical sessions. In session one, 15 papers were presented. I thank the chair, co-chair, and the lead coordinator of the technical session one. In session two, 8 papers were presented. I again thank the chair, co-chair, and the lead coordinator for session 2. In session 3, 15 papers were presented. I again thank the chair, co-chair, and the lead coordinator for session 3. In session 4, 9 papers were presented. I thank the chair, co-chair, and the lead coordinator for technical session 4. So yesterday, 47 research papers were presented. Today, we started with another 4 parallel technical sessions of the 4 themes. In session 5, 15 papers were presented. I thank the chair, co-chair, and the lead coordinator for session 5. In session 6, 22 papers were presented. I thank the chair, co-chair, and lead coordinators for conducting the session. In technical session 7, 10 papers were presented. I thank the chair, co-chair, and the lead coordinator for session 7. And in session 8, 12 papers were presented. I thank the chair, co-chair, and the lead coordinator for handling the technical session 8. So in a nutshell, we can say yesterday we have 47 papers which were presented. Today, 59 papers were presented. So as a whole, 106 research papers were presented yesterday and today. And this is an achievement by itself. So I would thank all the paper presenters for their heartful presentation, and I would like to finish this report by telling that we are privileged and we are honored to attend this 106th annual conference in this fashion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for a very detailed yet brief understanding of the past few days that we've had here. Now, I would like to invite Dr. C. Muthuraja, sir, for giving a brief feedback about the days that we've had here and what has his, take been on the conference that has been happened so far. Please, sir.
Good afternoon to all respected IEA leaders and Delhi University leaders and my dear delegates of IEA conference. I hope everyone is enjoying the cool, clean and climatical conference at Delhi. Really, it's a wonderful experience. On behalf of audience, I am here. I know many of you will accept my points to be shared here. Before going for my points, special thanks and special applause to Delhi University officials and volunteers for their wonderful work. From receiving and registration to the certificate distribution, I think the entire work to be done by the Delhi University volunteers under the leadership of a beautiful madam, the what do you call that's a wonderful exercise. It's very difficult to coordinate and organize conference at Delhi, particularly during December. Thank you, madam. On behalf of IEA family, we thank you. And again, the gentleman of this IEA conference, the organizing secretary, a tall and beautiful man, is here. Please give a big applause to the organizing secretary and co-organizing secretary for their wonderful experiences. I know Delhi University is not performing the work during holidays, but at the same time, they are rendering the services to the IEA family and extending by way of support to the delegates. Only 3 points I'm here. On behalf of audience, special thanks to the Delhi University entire family for providing hospitality, for providing to feel like we are Indian, we are global Indian. Because I am representing Madurai, Tamil Nadu, I am spending days at Delhi. I am not able to see any distance or difference or discrimination by way of attending this conference. For that, big thanks to the Delhi University. Second one, a beautiful experience for the young generations. I think during the sessions, I think the concluding point 106. It's not the year of the conference, the 106 conference. It is a 106 is the number of papers presented here. That is the beauty of this conference. For that, the Delhi University facilitated this environment for the young scholars. On behalf of scholars, again, we must thank for academic reasons. And beyond that, I heard the Delhi University is magnanimity in supporting us in future endeavor also. For that, we are thanking the Delhi University officials, Delhi University volunteers, Delhi University students, and the IEA family members. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you for the enthusiasm that you've had for these past 3 days, especially in maintaining the social media and videos of everybody. Now, I would like to invite on stage Dr. Thiru KTM, sir, for sharing his feedback and words about the conference.
Namaste, Vandanam, Namaskar. And it's a very happy moment. All 3 days it was very happy. We had a very holistic experience. Holistic means not only knowledge, we had knowledge, we also had good food for our tummy, as well as good things for our eyes, like cultural. We were able to experience all cultural things. So, apart from this, we are sitting in a hall, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Hall, where we remember unity. So, we have from all the states of India, from Jammu to Kashmir, we have delegates from research scholars, professors, and government officials. Okay, so all this is possible only because of the IEA leadership, Madanji and Malhotraji, and our Delhi University, Payal ma'am, and other Delhi University people. Okay, apart from this, we did not only bring people from India, we also brought people from USA. So we had all global inputs here. So and one more thing, other officials like would have come. But say for example, if we are going to one home, our mother, the lady, the women power will be inside the kitchen. We will not be able to see in the guest. They will not be visible. Likewise, we have our Mataji, Nirmala Sitaraman, were not able to come here. But again, with their blessings, our IEA conference, we are able to do. Delhi, again, when Muthurajan professor, as he told, we were not able to see any difference. We had chapati, even idli, dosa also we had. So what all we wanted, everything we had. So thank you. We did not expect this much. And forthcoming years also, we expect Delhi University. Ma'am, shall we expect Delhi University support forthcoming years? Okay, applause for ma'am. So in open stage, open forum, ma'am has accepted because of her wholehearted motherly nature. Okay, appreciate her. Thank you. Jai Hind. Bharat Mata ki Jai.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this enthusiastic address. Now I would request all the dignitaries to please release the journal.
This Journal of Institute of Public Enterprises that has been released as a conference volumes, and here we have published all the best papers that were chosen for our last from our last conference, 105th annual conference held in Bangalore. So total 19 papers have been published in this UGC Care Journal. Just I want to mention, and I also want to announce and congratulate the names whose papers have been included in this one. First paper that was presidential address in the conference, Professor Ramesh Chand. Then Dr. KJS Satya Sai, he wrote on agriculture. Then Nalin Rai and VK JVA, that was the best paper on millet in the last conference. Similarly, paper by Shweta Saxena, that was also mentioned. She was the resource person from Thailand, if you remember. Then Professor Madan Lal, Professor N.K. Bishnoi and Gargi Bura, Professor Suman Makkar and Kajal Gupta, Dr. Nisha Singla, Dr. Chivukula Balaji, Dr. Harsh Gandhar and Ravleen Kaur Virdi, Jyoti Bala, Professor M. Sundra Pandian and Sandra Surendran, Dr. Shweta Sharma and Shilpa Sharma. That was the best paper we awarded in our last conference. Dr. Ratna Rai and Bijoy Krishna, Dr. Archana Bakshi and Kamaljeet Kaur, Professor K. Parmeshwar Rao, Dr. Divya Sharma, Gagandi Sharma and Sanju Karol. And last paper was written by Arup Bitra, Prabhi Biswas and K.K. Jala. So I congratulate to all the authors. I also announce that the copies of the journals are available after this valedictory session. They can have this copy. That is a prized one, and they can meet Dr. Kamaljeet Kaur for purchasing the journal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I once again congratulate all the researchers. Moving further, this session is not complete without the concluding remarks by Professor V.K. Malhotra, President, Indian Economic Association. From the moment the idea of the conference to be conducted in collaboration with SOL had begun, Sir's immense support has been a pivotal role in making this conference a success. Sir, it was a wonderful experience of learning to have the pleasure of working under you with your guidance. We welcome you, sir, once again to share your thoughts and conclude this conference remark.
Thank you, Nupur. On the dais, we know the dignitaries occupying these positions. There is just one addition, Professor J. Kuntia, who comes and is a professor at the School of Open Learning. So thank you for joining us on the stage. Remaining faces you know very, very well. Well, this conference in many ways has been a great experience, both in terms of knowing people better, certain learnings, and of course, new thoughts, new ideas, which were shared here, and maybe new areas of research or frontiers of research we should be taking forward in days to come. I know almost 2-3 months back when we started discussing about this conference, there were scores of issues in mind. Gradually, when we moved forward, all those issues started to get resolved. And I remember Professor Jaiswal and Professor Mago on one occasion said to me, perhaps you have already made a film which we would be watching over those 3 days. And this is exactly the movie that we were thinking in our mind that took shape here. It has been very, very exhausting conference in the sense that perhaps our own expectations from ourselves are far more than at times we think of delivering in a normal circumstance. From inaugural to 4 plenaries, then the new idea of dedicating a session to young economists. Then came the idea that there has to be a session, perhaps we were missing a point on trade and investment. There came an idea that we should have something new with trade and investment, and I talked to Professor Chaturvedi, who were doing their researches at RAS, and they said that we would be preferring to talk about free trade agreements. Why are they taking place? What are India's apprehensions or economist apprehensions? Should we move forward or should we not? There are issues like that. P.R. Brahmananda Memorial Lecture was delivered by none other than a giant in financial economics or in financial sector, Shri Rajeshwar Rao, Deputy Governor, Reserve Bank of India. I remember for a month almost, I was in regular chat with Krishnamurti Subramaniam. What is the idea behind this conference? What should he be discussing and what exactly at what time should he be addressing this gathering? And yesterday itself in the morning, we finally decided, okay, we would have his address, and the exact theme of the address would be explaining to this audience that how far the idea of Viksit Bharat or developed India or advanced India is that a mere dream, mere wish, or that's going to be reality before us. And he talked in a modular framework and tried to suggest yesterday evening that how this idea is going to be a reality by 2047. We are having this valedictory session. Before valedictory session, we again experimented with one more idea. That is, the beginning was the concept briefing, and we should have a panel discussion on what all was discussed in terms of expectations and questions posed before us by the concept note writers. We had on 22nd 4 technical sessions followed by 4 technical sessions today. When I look at this entire menu on the table, it definitely sounds to be quite big, and I wonder that how far, I mean, we did not think of achieving that much, and we have achieved that much. We tried to again experiment with one more idea that academicians or researchers, they have been missing industry on their boards. We tried to bring industry also on our board in certain ways. We had some expert from CII also to be here with us.
but finally, because of certain contingencies, we missed them. As far as institutional networking and collaborations are concerned, I'm very happy to collaborate with Delhi School of Open Learning under Delhi University, and leadership is very important. Leadership uh, driven by none other than the very able and a good human being, Vice Chancellor Professor Yogesh Singh. I know him as a friend also. This is why I'm saying good human being. Professor Mago, uh, when I was talking to people around in Delhi University, everybody said that Professor Mago has a very large heart. We did experience that during the conference. Professor Jaiswal, whenever there were issues between us on conference matters, Professor Madan had a different opinion, Professor Jaiswal had a different opinion. I was always saying that both are so genuine that they have to decide between them, and finally we were left with no issues at all. 30, 40 very high quality resource persons we had the presence of, and we benefited from their thoughts. The topics that we chose for the conference, they had a certain amount of newness. Two issues have been in maximum public debate in last 1 year in economics. One is aspirational India. Will India be developed? And if yes, India is going to be developed by one, and at what rate? And second big issue where India has registered a big mark is reducing poverty on both poverty index as well as multidimensional poverty index. So, but international literature says certain other things also. All those things needed a full length discussion here. We are all very clear in mind that one big target for the nation is developed India, and second is reduction in poverty to all possible extents, and they can be facilitated by artificial intelligence, data collection and data analysis, education, health, and of course, the performance of the financial sector with it, with technology and inclusivity are going to be the instruments to achieve a Viksit Bharat and reducing poverty to the maximum possible extent. I will be missing my point if I do not pay my special thanks to Professor Prajesh Roy or Dr. J. Khuntia, who were keeping me all the times on alert, ringing me constantly. Sir, this is left, that is left, right. And the kind of simplicity with which they were addressing all these issues. Young ladies, Nupur, Juhi, their team, they deserve compliments for two important reasons. One was that they were very methodical in their ways. Of course, needless to say, they have seat wise also. I had read somewhere that a smile is the hallmark of a good personality. So it all came with those smiles on their faces, and they did try to have all these sessions as per schedule, and we could really have those sessions on schedule and finishing most of the things. Despite the fact, I said that the sessions were too absorbing and the menu was too large. All compares people in arrangements. I know whenever we talk about the visible faces, we miss invisible faces. There have been many invisible faces. There have been many people whom I know by looking at their faces, but I do not know their names. So my compliments to them, my thanks to them as IEA president. Just one information, Professor Jaiswal made to me in the morning. Some of us are staying in guest houses, some are staying in hotels, and all of you had filled up in your forms till what day you'll be occupying hotels or guest houses. So the organizers had made such arrangements. They have requested the hotel people to extend it by 2 hours or so, because a little longer stay, maybe by an hour or two, would definitely invite costs to the organizers. So I request you all, if you have to leave and you had not filled up in your form, you can discuss your problem separately with Professor Madan. But please vacate first from the hotels at least, so that it does not impose additional cost on the organizers. Uh, the the fellow boy who gave the feedback said that we did not expect that much. Economists by training deal with endless desires. We had limited desires, but our experience virtually became endless. On these remarks, I once again congratulate you all, IA delegates, functionaries, executive body, the host, and all involved in this process. A big, big congratulations from my side for organizing it so well. I'm sure that all of us will take it to our heart, and next time when we meet, Prime Minister had said one family. We have already started believing in one family of IEA. So I'm sure we are going to meet next time also with same degree of enthusiasm. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this heartfelt concluding remarks. Now I have the pleasure of inviting Professor D.K. Madan, Secretary, Indian Economic Association. Sir has been actively looking after all the concerns and queries and has helped us immensely in the smooth organization. Sir's experience in conducting such conferences has helped us learn from the best. We request you, sir, to please come on the dais and share a few words. Please, sir. Thank you.
Esteemed Professor Payal Mago, Professor V.K. Malhotra, Professor Ajay Jaiswal, Professor Prajesh Roy, and Professor J. Kuntia, Executive Committee members of the Indian Economic Association, delegates from all over India. I am really thankful to all of you in this valedictory session that this conference was much successful one. The feedback which we received from our young scholars, that is quite enthusiastic. Mr. KTM was very much motivated on this one. This conference was so much qualitative and so much uh, academic one. I know the pain taken by Professor Ajay Jaiswal and Professor Payal Mago for making all the arrangement of accommodation as well as food. They were so much cooperative that whatsoever we demanded, we requested, they accepted that one wholeheartedly. I am very much thankful to Dr. Prajesh Roy also. He was the main force behind this one, and he was also very much in touch with me. I am really thankful to Dr. Nupur. From the day one, she was very much in touch with me for the preparation of this conference. Mr. Ravi Kumar from the finance department, he was taking charge of all the transportation, accommodation, and day and night he worked for making this conference successful one. Organizing team, in fact, was very much hardworking so that nobody should be disappointed in this conference. I am really thankful to our conference president, Professor Ramesh Chand, as well as our association president, Professor V.K. Malhotra, because they took too much pain, academically also, administratively also. Whatsoever resource persons came in the conference, especially Deputy Governor, Reserve Bank of India, or our chief guest, Shri Suman Berry ji, and Professor K.V. Krishnamurthy, we heard yesterday, all was so much good, and many uh, delegates, they also complimented me for organizing such events in future also. Yesterday, outside the technical session, one delegate complimented me that this technical session is so good that coordinator or chairperson is just discussing research methodology, and it is looking that this is a research methodology workshop also. I was very much happy to know that thing, because our main four coordinators, Professor Satish Verma, Professor D.K. Noyal, Professor K.K. Bagchi, Professor Vinayak Deshpande, they took too much pain for making the quality of this conference. Already I mentioned in the inaugural session that the theme chosen were also very much important after the discussion with the higher authorities. I mean to say Professor Ramesh Chand, Professor Sachin Chaturvedi. I am also thankful to Professor Charan Singh. He was so much eager in our conference, and his suggestions were very much good for me. Whatsoever resource persons came in the conference, the number was no doubt more than 35. And we arranged all these resource persons by taking too much pain. Professor Malhotra this time also worked so much hard day and night. And after that, we have reached at this stage today. So really, I am very much thankful on the behalf of Indian Economic Association, all my executive committee members from all the states of India. They were very much present every time in the conference. I am very much thankful to them. And I also want to take excuse if any mistake or anything has been done from our side to EC member or IA delegate. because sometimes some things happens without our knowledge. Host is also so good that sometimes we should not think that any error had been done deliberately. Sometimes some things happens, but we ensured every time that things should be sorted out and we should enjoy in this conference. So now it is a time to honor the organizing team, organizing leaders. But before that, I also want to announce the Best Paper Award as well as Best Participation Awards to our young scholars. So just theme-wise, firstly, I am coming on the Best Presentation Award. We are giving this award to the younger one whose age is less than 40 years. So in all the technical sessions, our chairperson coordinators, they recommended some names, and on the basis of recommendation, I am happy to announce their name. Theme first for the best presentation, Dr. Sushila Soria. I request our president, Professor V.K. Malhotra, to give them medal. I also request Professor Payal Mago. I want to share with you very one important thing that we are also awarding Professor P.L. Sablok Award. Sorry, Dr. Asha Sablok Award. And today, her daughter, granddaughter has come, Miss Tania. Please come on the stage. I also, yes, Ruhi Mittal, please come. Doctor. Yes, both together. Now theme 2, Dr. For theme 2, Dr. Arushi Rajpal. Is he present? Arushi Rajpal? Yes. She has a joint paper with the Professor Suman Makkad from Punjab University. So her presentation was also good one. Yes, Arushi. For theme 4, I come later on for theme 3, but theme 4, Mr. Soman Sundra from Kolkata. Yes, Dr. Anirban, his paper was with you. Okay, you can come on her. Sandeep. Yes, yes. Chairperson से पूछो. क्या? Can't do that. Just खड़े हैं सब। अच्छा। Yes, Mr. Bharadwaj. Bharadwaj की तो एज है. Is he present? I think he is from Himachal Pradesh. Full name we are searching. Yes. Yes, yes. Come, please. Wow. अच्छा बेस्ट किसका? जो बेस्ट किसका तो हो गया बेस्ट. जो बाईस का. So, thank you very much. The gold medal. Now, I invite Professor Arnachalam and Professor Anirban Sarkar to come on the stage to congratulate Professor Payal Mago on behalf of Indian Economic Association.
Sir, just one. On behalf of SOL also, sir, we would like to felicitate ma'am. मैं एक पहले
Okay.
add कर दूं?
Okay, yes, yes.
I would request Professor Jaiswal and Professor Prajesh Roy also to please, and sir, please join, to felicitate ma'am on behalf of School of Open Learning.
Now I invite Dr. Kawaljit Kaur and Dr. Sandeepa Malhotra to honor and felicitate Professor Ajay Jaiswal. Yes. So thank you very much. We continue with the program.
Thank you, sir. To continue with the felicitation itself, since words are never enough to thank everyone who's present here, and especially the pillars of strength who've been behind this entire success of the conference, As a token of gratitude on behalf of School of Open Learning, I would now request Payal ma'am and Ajay sir to please felicitate Professor Malhotra. Thank you. I would also now request to please felicitate Professor Madan. Thank you, everyone. I would now request Professor Malhotra and Professor Madan to please felicitate Professor Prajesh Roy. Sorry. Thank you. I would also now request Professor Prajesh Roy to felicitate Professor Khuntia. Once again, thank you, everyone. As we now bid farewell to this gathering, let us carry the spirit of collaboration and intellectual curiosity into our respective endeavors, fostering a bright future for economic thought and progress. This session won't be complete without the vote of thanks of the conference convener and joint organizing secretary. But before that, we would like to invite Professor Payal Mago for the concluding remarks of this session.
बस उसी पर रख देना, मैं क्लिक करके कर दूंगी इसको. उस पर नहीं जाएगा. हाँ जी, चलेगा. नहीं नहीं आपका ना चलेगा. नहीं नहीं यहाँ इस पर डबल क्लिक कर बस. Good afternoon, everyone. As we are coming to the end of this conference, we need to do certain very concrete things which should remember as the outcome of this conference. Honorable guests on the dais, Professor V.K. Malhotra, Professor Madan, Professor Ajay Jaiswal, Professor Khuntia, Professor Prajesh Roy, and amongst the dignitaries, Professor Madan Lal from University of Delhi, all delegates, all faculty members of School of Open Learning, all non-teaching staff of School of Open Learning, as well as the backbone of this conference, Dr. Nupur, and our interns, who are actually not visible, but behind the scene are interns. They have really worked hard and they were contributing a lot to this conference. But when we are talking about the conference, the policies, the economics, Viksit Bharat, and developed Bharat in 2047, as we complete the 100 years of our independence, we need to think of the situation which was there for last 50 years or last 70 years or 75 years, that how we are progressing, we were progressing slow. For a lot of decades, we were not able to add even $1 trillion to our economy. But suddenly we are thinking of now 25 to 30 trillion economy, $30 trillion economy when we reach 2047, when we celebrate the 100 years of our independence. So this speed, this addition, each addition to our growing economy, that needs policies. But what kind of policies we need? Why we lag behind? When I was discussing this during the inaugural session, then whatever I could think of is that we never had the ecosystem. But now we have the ecosystem where our innovations, where the ideas, they can take shape. They can really add to the economic development and other developments of India. But what kind of development we want? China is a developed country. Do we want the development like China? Do we want the development like other Western countries? Although for a very long time, we always got the thought from the West after independence that whatever they think they do is the best. But we have to think of, did that really help us? Did the Western thoughts of economy, Western thought of development, did that really help India to move forward? We have to think over it all over again. We have to take into account the sustainability. And sustainability, which is a buzzword today all over the world, it is not new for us. We always faced the always are in favor of the sustainable development. And sustainability is in our blood. We take care of our environment, we take care of our families, we take care of our elders, we take care of our resources. And we don't have to enter into a development kind of a thing which is not taking care of the nature. We think of our philosophy as Vasudev Kutumbakam. And when we think of our philosophy as Vasudev Kutumbakam and one world, sustainable growth, then we have to have policies related with our own origin, our own philosophy. So, as an outcome of this conference, as per my discussion with Professor Malhotra, we had a long discussion over it that what should be the outcome of this. So I'm pleased to announce a Center of Policy Research for Viksit Bharat, which will be available So I'm pleased to announce the Center of Policy Research for Viksit Bharat, CPRBB. It will be housed in School of Open Learning and will work on the policy issues and those policies which will make our way forward to Viksit Bharat in 2047 with the philosophy, Indian philosophy in mind, which will not only help India, but will help world also to grow peacefully in a sustainable manner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your valuable, thought-provoking acknowledgement here. Now, I would like to invite, on behalf of the entire team of School of Open Learning, I would like to invite Professor Janmejoy Kunthia to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Uh, as some of my colleagues said, they have come from rest of Delhi, that is from different parts of the country, and now looking at Delhi's winter. So I just want to say that after our romancing with early winter of Delhi, as we come to the concluding day after 60 hours of mind-blowing, mind-churning exercises, let me tell you that the impression that you are going to get is definitely the way Payal Mago said, we are opening this Center for Policy Research. There's a very good outcome, ma'am. And this marriage of collaboration that between Indian Economic Association and School of Open Learning, University of Delhi, could produce a beautiful baby. So that is the Center for Policy Research. Welcome to all the researchers and young scholars, those who want to do or contribute during their research time to the development of the country. Here is a small beginning, but I am very sure that this particular endeavor will end and bring very good policy, research minds and articles that will help our government. Coming to our delegates here, I'm very thankful on behalf of the Department of Economics because I interacted with many of you here and I got a lot of very good impressions about how our own colleagues, students, research scholars around the country think about development. We do teach economics, we do practice, speak, but friends, I'm really surprised, and that is also another outcome of this particular conference, that economics is no longer the domain of people who do research, talk about economics, or teach economics, or the so-called economists. In fact, it has become domain of everybody. And look at, when I listen to Payal Mago's initial remark about a Punjab uh, jugaad technology from of a farmer in Punjab who aspire to reach to new heights and make India a dream of achieving trillion economy. And look, the concluding last year's talk by Professor Subramaniam from IMF, who said with his rigorous economic tools and exercises, says that yes, India is going to become a 50 trillion economy in 47. So what is the difference between a botanist and an economist? They were talking the same thing with different languages or methodology, but the outcome is same. So economics is no longer, or it's not the hegemony or monopoly of economists. I'm very glad that all people in this country are talking about growth, and that is the positive sign about a Bikasit Bharat that the policy research team is going to bring about. Thank you very much. This particular venue that gave us so much opportunity, the supporting staff, all our faculty members, the non-teaching staff of SOL, of course, the young scholars who came here, the delegates, all the people who talked from the podium, they are all, I mean, including the Vice Chancellor who could not attend but gave his best wishes for this conference. Friends, thank you very much for this wonderful environment that you have created. In the end, when I end, even if I'm from the economics background, I give you three things from my own thoughts, and that will be a food for thought for you. Number one, when we are talking about an aspirational India, we are talking about an engine of growth. We are talking about perhaps a train that will take us to the height of trillions dollar economy. But as people of India coming from different cultures, we are perhaps running on a platform to catch a departing train. We do not know in which compartment we will end up. If it is a general compartment, by chance, we can look at things like a developing economy, struggling to get the right space. If we are landing up in a first class compartment, we may glorify ourselves. I think Prime Minister Modi wants to make the entire train a first class compartment. That is why the dream of a trillion economy. Number two, you are sitting in this beautiful hall with strong construction. Can anybody tell me the strong wall that we make in terms of infrastructure that we call, in terms of economic growth that we call. We want a very strong building, a very strong wall with top class bricks and cement. Can anybody tell whether the cement separates the bricks or joins the bricks? If we say that it is economic growth taking place, we say the cement has joined the bricks. But if we talk about development where there is poverty and inequality, we may say that the cement is actually separating the bricks. So whether the bricks are joined by the cement or separated by the cement is a big puzzle. It's a food for thought for you. Please take it back, and when you go your home, think about it. And in the end, our economists today are very much obsessed with future predictions. Astrologers do predictions. At times, many people mock at us, saying that rag pickers, predict very well than economists because most of our predictions never come true. But that's fine for making a glorious present and a glorious future. But my take is for today, it's very good to predict for a beautiful world because we want to live in a beautiful world. But let us not forget Lord Tennyson's lovely lines: unseen future and dead yesterday, why fret about them if today be sweet? The question is, the present is very important, and at present, let us all work with our demographic dividend that we're expecting, that this youth population of India that everybody is talking about come forward to work so that a sustainable development goal of no poverty, no inequality in future will definitely be realized. Only then, 2047, the 100 years, we may not live longer, but our future generation will enjoy that time. Thank you very much, friends who have come here.
Just a minute, one announcement for the Dr. Asha Sablo Gold Medal. So I announce the name of Dr. Chandrima Ganguly from Kolkata for the Best Paper Award that is named as Dr. Asha Sablo Gold Medal. I invite Ms. Tania, granddaughter of Dr. Asha Sablo, to award this one. I also invite Professor V.K. Malhotra and Professor Payal Mago to award Dr. Chandrima Ganguly. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Once again, I would like to thank the venue for giving us this venue and space for conducting this conference, which is Patel Chess Institute. Um, on behalf of the entire team of SOL, I would also like to thank all the people who've been, working day in and day out, behind the scenes also, and in front as well, and contributing. Either it is the non-teaching staff, the teaching faculties, or all the interns. So thank you on behalf of the entire team. I would request everyone to please rise for national anthem.
You can pick it.
Yes, sir.
Uh, I would request all faculties and all entire team of SOL non-teaching staff to please stay for a group photograph.
I request all the SOL team members, faculty, and non-teaching to come near the stage. We have one informal program. Okay. कुछ लोग आ गया हम यहाँ
I